One of the particularly interesting things with the Wastelanders update for Fallout 76 is it brought so much new content that I found several of the new features or things added to the game are just not really that well known, to the point where some of them I could only find a few instances of people even talking about them. So in this video, what I want to showcase to you are some of the lesser known features or hidden features brought to Fallout 76 with Wastelanders. Some of the ones in this video are relatively minor and simple, other ones are fundamental things you're going to care about, giving you a more in-depth look than Bethesda did otherwise, and other things were just never mentioned by Bethesda and we've only found out from data mining or experiencing the game ourselves. Hopefully you find this video helpful whether you're a legacy player or a new one just getting into the game. Although, one thing I did notice is many of you watching this video are not subscribed. So if you do want to see some more Fallout or Wastelanders specific content, you can get subscribed as there's a lot more on the way, even some more videos like this one. Plus we are approaching 500,000, which would be a pretty big milestone to hit. In Fallout 76, there are several mysteries, odd or curious things that you could find around the map that just didn't really have a deeper explanation. Well, one of those mysteries actually got an update with Wastelanders. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Sickle Man was here. This was one of the pre-release screenshots shared around Fallout 76, and as such, it got a ton of attention. But with the Wastelanders update, Sickle Man was here actually turned into Sickle Man is here. And even further, at this location, you could find a now empty NukaCola bottle. This being something only added in with one of the recent DLCs and giving your character significant buffs. Now, whether or not this is something deeper or larger isn't totally clear. There's this location in Fallout 76 speculated to be the house of Sickle Man because, well, you had this guy with a giant sickle that looked like it could be him, but I couldn't find any changes there. Although an interesting way this could have been implemented is as a new, very rare random encounter. Or perhaps this is something that may pop up as a random encounter in the future. It would be pretty cool to have not only regular human NPCs, but some creepy ones also. Speaking of random encounters, this is a very large new component of the DLC. Over 40 new interactions have been added, so new and unique things that you can just stumble upon by naturally playing the game, as well as a ton of new locations that these can take place. If you've been playing, you've probably seen some of the typical ones, but there's a lot of unique or interesting ones that have gotten me to avoid fast traveling at certain points, just to see if I could find a new one. This smoky pipe is a pretty unique one that a lot of people have taken note of. Mostly a silly joke by Bethesda, but you also have other things that are a bit more serious. A cultist death scene, where you could find some notes and lore around this group of cultists, as well as interesting looking cups all throughout. The Observant Radstag is a more unique one that's gotten popular as of late. You find this rare Radstag, and if you actually follow it, it'll lead you to a treasure. There's a lot of new and unique custom content added throughout this aspect of the game, and one such one that actually has some more tangible benefits are some of the random encounter vendors or traders. In Fallout 76, between release and I guess technically just before Wastelanders, there were certain items that were quite valuable and rare just because finding the trader that would give it to you was hard. And even if you found the right trader, it wasn't guaranteed he would have the particular item, the Hunter's Longcoat being one of those rare items. Well, with several of these rare outfits, there's now new random encounter vendors that will carry them, and at times carry multiple of them. So if you're somebody who's been stocking up on some of these rare outfits from random encounter traders through Fallout 76 since release, it might be time to dump that inventory, as the prices may gradually go down now. It seems like overall some of these outfits are just becoming way more available because you're seeing more vendors with them. But speaking of vendors, another huge but undocumented change with Wastelanders is how many caps vendors have per day. By default in Fallout 76, the way it's worked for several months now is all of the vendors you could find in the game have a universal 1400 caps. This is useful because it's a great way to get rid of just junk items, or especially in the early game, just pick up weapons, miscellaneous things, and dump them on vendors. It resets every 24 hours, so every 24 hours you get 1400 caps. But with Wastelanders and the addition of allies actually have a separate cap pool, which means the vendor cap limit has actually been raised to 2600 caps per day. All of the vendors that you normally will encounter will have 1400 caps. The two unique exceptions are either Athena. Athena is somebody you get by completing the Sophia questline, that being the astronaut companion. I won't explain what happens here, I don't want to give any spoilers. and there's a choice involved in getting Athena, but basically, if you have Sophia set up at your camp, from time to time, Athena will just wander in, typically a couple times a day. But in my testing, you actually had to have Sophia as the companion placed at your camp. And then with this, it's again a really easy way to just dump useless items you've collected. If you have a ton of Radaway that you're probably not going to use, so you could just get some quick caps via this. Alternatively, the significant easier method to do this is with Beckett. Beckett is the other person to use this ally cap tool, but at the time of filming this, trading with Beckett is actually disabled. Now, it's not clear if this is because the separate caps pool is a glitch, or some others were speculating there is a dupe exploit with him and that was the reason for the disable. But either way, at least if you're watching this video as it goes up or in the first couple of days, trading with Athena is an easy way, at least easy once you actually finish Sophia's questline, to get 2600 caps per day confirmed, which is particularly useful with Wastelanders as you now do have Smiley, somebody you could give 6000 caps per week for 300 gold bullions. And you're going to want to do that every week because those gold bullion caps are pretty high, which we'll talk more about later in this video. One of the big concerns or stresses/anxieties I see with Wastelanders is missing out on content. So I wanted to just give a clear disclaimer on which new content you have to get while playing the main story and which it doesn't really matter. With Wastelanders, the vast majority of the new content you can't lock yourself out of. Things like the Gauss line of weapons, the new bows, some of the new armors, all of that content, whether you side with the raiders or the settlers, it doesn't really matter. You can still get it no matter what choice you make or how you play through the main story. With that being said, there are 5 unique items you could only get while playing the main Wastelander story. The only other way to get them is to trade on the free market with other characters, and this only applies to some. So first, I'll tell you the items, then I'll tell you how to get them in case you want to skip that part to avoid spoilers. You have the free radical mask, the new prototype steel mill T51B power armor helmet skin, a new Pip-Boy skin that you can get, and a unique legendary with the Slug Buster. So all of those you can trade for. The one final one is a free take on the Chinese stealth suit plans. Technically, the Chinese stealth suit plans you could unlock by paying gold bullions, or you can get them for free just by doing a settler quest. If you just want to grind out gold bullions, it'll actually take you 3.5 weeks to get the helmet and the armor. So I would just do the free quest, plus it counts as a radiation suit, plus it's really good because it makes you invisible. So if you want to avoid spoilers on how to get each of these, click to the timestamp on screen, but otherwise if you missed one of them and you want to know how you could get it, either trade for them, which again you could do for all of them except the Chinese stealth suit just by trading with other players, or for the free radicals mask as you're doing the free radicals quest, that early on wayward quest where you raid their base, you actually have to side with the free radicals. You'll describe how you'll help them take on the wayward, and then later on after completing a wayward quest, you'll actually return to the wayward to find the free radicals there, holding up the patrons. It's at that point you'll have to pass either a skill check or give up the legendary weapon you get from raiding that initial bunker, and in turn you will get the free radicals mask, marking yourself as a member. The 2 settler rewards are actually really simple to get. All you have to do is complete the quest Trade Secrets for Penelope Hornwright. This will give you the plan for the custom Pip-Boy skin. As long as you finish the quest, you get it. And then the quest Invisible Ties, where you raid the communist base, is how you get the Chinese stealth suit plans. Again, your decisions during the quest don't really matter. As long as you finish it, you do unlock the Chinese stealth suit plan. On the other side of things, for the raiders to get that prototype T51 skin, it's really hard to miss. During the Fun and Games quest for Rara, which is one of the first ones, you literally stop right outside the doorway which holds it. You have to ask Rara to open it from the inside. And then lastly, in a similar vein, during the Vault 79 Vault Raid, just by opening one of the side doors that you do get in one of the last sections, you can get the Slug Buster. You either use Rara or a different method if you go through with the settlers, but you can get this weapon siding with either faction. Just look for this particular doorway and it kind of stops right around here, so it shouldn't be too hard to miss. Although speaking of finishing some of the quests, which many of you are probably doing, you also can get unique dialogue options or rewards by turning in quests even though it doesn't prompt you to. So in Wastelanders, at points after finishing a quest with other NPCs or even without them, you can talk to the NPCs around Crater or Foundation, specifically on the interior parts, and they'll have things to say. You could actually get reputation points from doing this, just saying, hey, you did a good job, I'm happy you came along. Or filling them in on certain details to what happened in one of your past adventures could also give you some of these benefits. To actually get the reputation reward, you typically have to say something positive, but at the very least, at times you could get some additional lore or backstory around these characters during these moments. so don't miss them. Actually talk to some of the people after doing some of the intermediary quests. Don't just try and rush through it. Although also, and this is actually a pretty big one, a lot of you may be thinking, oh, the faction reputation grind isn't too bad as you're progressing through some of those early levels. Something very important to know is that the faction reputation system isn't linear. So as you're going from rank to rank, such as cooperative to friendly to neighborly to ally, the requirements to get to the next rank increase. But the amount of points you're rewarded from daily quests or random encounters don't increase. So here's a chart that breaks it down pretty nicely, and to make it a little bit clearer, the larger number is how many points you're going to need to qualify for that reputation. So to become an ally, you'll have to get 12,000 points. But what you'll notice is, as you actually cross over friendly and start working towards the neighborly goal, instead of being a 1,000 point gap, you'll actually need 3,000 points. And once you finally get a neighborly status to achieve the highest tier with ally, that will double, and you'll need to gain 6,000 reputation points, which is the same as all of the effort you did previously. So the final tier is literally equal to all of the work you did getting from neutral to neighborly beforehand. That endgame grind is actually pretty long once you get to ally. And if you want to break this down trying to do some of the math, those random encounters will give you 10 points per encounter, while the daily quest will give you 200 points. So assuming you finish the main story of Wastelanders and you just do the daily quest, not the random encounters, it's a little over a month and a half to reach full ally, although fortunately with this system you can speed it up again by doing random encounters, but that will take a while. If you missed my past video on the endgame grind, that goes way more in depth on which rewards you could get from each faction and just better ways to actually grind it. And to just reiterate some of the numbers on the other side of things for the gold bullion system, something else you'll have to grind, to just unlock the new plans for everything, it'll take roughly 41 weeks. But again, that's if you want everything. If you just want the core weapons and items, like just the Gauss shotgun and the Gauss pistol, but not all of the side plans for it, it'll be roughly 22.5 weeks, that not including the Chinese stealth suit, because of course you could get that for free and you probably should just by doing the quest, otherwise another 3.5 weeks of work. Although I can't really help make that process exponentially faster, I can help you make leveling up in Fallout 76 quite a bit faster. One of the cool new features of Wastelanders is you can now get longer term experience bonuses. By default in Fallout 76, just by laying in a bed, you get plus 5% experience for 2 hours. But if you do it while having a companion active at your camp, it'll actually extend this to 3 hours. One of the odd parts about this is it either can just be a miscompanion, which will give you kindred spirit, or if you actually did get a romanceable companion and have achieved an affinity high enough to romance them, you do get lover's embrace, which does provide the same benefit. It'd be cool in the future if having a romanceable companion, boosting it to that level gives you a greater benefit, but until then this is an easy way to get an extra hour of experience gain. But this also does stack with the brand new added NukaCola cranberry. This is just a new NukaCola type you could find throughout Appalachia. A really handy tool is actually this map in particular. If you type in NukaCola cranberry here, you can select all of the spawns of it and find out exactly where it will spawn in game. Several of these are very easy to access locations, and this will give you a bonus 2% experience for 30 minutes. But it's utterly free. You just have to go to this place, get it, and then you have it. In a similar vein, another very handy NukaCola to have is actually the NukaCola you created throughout the main story of Wastelanders, assuming you got that far. This is during the inoculation phase of the new story. You pick a name for yourself, but you could actually make that on your own at a chemistry station. And this will decrease the incoming damage from scorched attacks, which is immensely beneficial when taking on the Scorch Beast Queen. It actually is really great to just have one or two in your inventory for that phase. That's not to say those fights were ever particularly difficult, but now they're just a bit easier. One of the other pretty curious things that you may have not noticed got changed or added with this is actually free Nuclear Winter perk cards or perk card packs. This doesn't seem to affect everyone, but it seems like now certain things in adventure mode will reward you a Nuclear Winter perk card pack. So you may find after Wastelanders, when logging into Nuclear Winter, you just have a ton of these all in your inventory. I guess this is a good way to incentivize more crossover play between the two modes, but it is interesting. I couldn't find it documented anywhere, but I kept getting screenshots of people having hundreds of these. And last but not least, one of the other big ones that some of you may have noticed is with this, Bethesda actually removed a lot of the glitched or illegal items you could find in the game. Unfortunately, not things like duped or spawned in legendary items, but things like the Snallygaster Spit, or other glitched items that technically players should never have been able to possess. These occupied a weird black market part of the Fallout 76 economy where people spent a lot to just have them as trophy items. but now many of these are gone, or at least gone until the next exploit that allows them to be created comes. But yeah, those are 10 features that you may have not noticed with Fallout 76's Wastelanders update. This is a big one. There was a lot to unpack around it, and there's a lot more to unpack in the future. I'm gonna have subsequent videos going over this topic because there are a lot more features that you probably didn't notice. But with all that being said, I thank you again for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Later.